What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about how seeking long-term fame is pointless and stupid. And by long-term I mean over 100 years. Like people who seek fame for the purpose of having their names go down in history for that ego boost, and solely for that ego boost. Not to help others, not to impact the world, not to make the world a better place. And there are people out there who do this sort of stuff, and I'm just going to explain to you why it's very stupid. So the first thing, and the first big reason, is all the videos out there where people go out on the streets and ask any stranger normal, typical history questions. You can find plenty of videos on YouTube about this with hundreds of thousands of views per video. Jimmy Kimmel does a lot of this, and there's recently one by the O'Reilly Factor where they asked pretty basic history questions about American history as well as global history to average people on the street randomly. And he admits at the end of the video that he didn't cut out people, he didn't select specifically for specific people. He may have slightly, we don't know, but there's so many videos out there that illustrates that the general public is pretty darn stupid, and they know literally nothing about history. So that right there should be all the reason you need. Seeking any sort of historical prominence to boost your ego, or to think, you know what, one day, 1,000 years from now, everyone will know what I did and I'll be known as such a hero. It's not going to happen. In less than 100 years, most people, even the people who live locally, are going to be like, they're not going to care at all. They're not going to give a single crap. They're not going to even know who you are or give a crap. Partially due to the education system, partially because it doesn't really matter to them. They have their own lives. They're interested in their own things. Is that their fault? No. Even the people who have made the most impact on this earth, Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, whatever name you want to fill into the blank, can be illustrated with these sort of things. Now, before I turn to fame under 100 years, which I do think has some sort of benefit, let's just give you another reason. The second reason is freaking a poem I read back about 4 years ago in high school. Basically, it went something along the lines of this sort of pyramid thing, and basically I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like, "Here lies the great Aruwabala," or whatever the pharaoh's or this Egyptian sculpture's name was. And while you're reading the poem, you realize that this was the inscription on the statue. And the poem actually came with a picture, but the picture was drawn in with the book. The actual poem did not come with the picture. The person who wrote the poem, the textbook drew in the picture as well. But basically the picture depicted what the poem was implying, which was simply the fact that there's this grandiose statue of this Egyptian historical figure who now lies in the sand, and it was all crumbled up and cracked and broken, and there's pieces lying here and there, and it was just lying in the sand, deserted. And it turned out that this poem was the inscription on the statue, or at least a part of the statue that was still intact. And the statue was going on and on about how here lies the great and powerful historical figure, Adewapala, or whatever the Egyptian's name was. And basically, there's this one sentence in the poem that says something like, from for all eternity, this statue will stand intact so that everyone will remember this great and powerful man. And you see all this irony in it because it's the statue is all broken up and scattered and everything, and it very much depicts, maybe this wasn't the purpose of the poem, but it has become the purpose in my opinion, or at least my interpretation, which is just how ridiculous the idea of fame is in a way, because no matter how great you are, even you can choose any prominent historical figure you want, fill in the blank with his name. There's millions of people who just don't give a crap, who don't know anything about him. They may give a little bit of a crap, they may be interested, they may be concerned, but whether it's due to the education system, them not trying hard enough, the fact that it's not really important to them whether they know about this guy or not, a variety of reasons, or them just being plain stupid, they just don't know anything about this guy, and the beliefs about this guy are just completely distorted from their ignorance. And it's very funny, like you'll see these videos where these interviewers will go on the street and they'll ask these questions like about presidents and stuff, and they're like all these countless people will say ridiculous stuff like, oh yes, Abraham Lincoln was the first president right after George Washington, and ridiculous stuff like I just watched a video recently on this thing, and it was literally like they asked questions like who fought in the Revolutionary War, and they'd say ridiculous stuff like the French, and who fought in the Civil War, and they have no idea, or say something ridiculous like China, and then they'll be like who bombed Pearl Harbor, and they'll be like freaking the Mexicans. It's ridiculous. And so that's all I have to say about that sort of thing. And there's plenty of people who don't follow that, so I guess it doesn't really matter to them for whatever reason. However, now let's get to the point of fame for the fact for anything under 100 years. So let's say you want fame to boost your ego, or whatever reason regarding self-esteem and ego, and you want something in less than 100-year time frame. Maybe you want to be known in the next 20 years. You want to be very famous, and you don't give a crap who knows you after 100 years from the moment you died or whatever. You don't care about long-term fame. And is this morally wrong, and is this actually beneficial? I think it is, but like many things, like food, it's a double-edged sword. Food in the sense that the better it tastes, oftentimes the more unhealthy it is for you. So it's like, at one end you're starving to death, at the other end you have great tasting food, but it's killing you in a different way. It's a double-edged sword. So that's a video for another day. But back to my topic, I think fame in that sense is a double-edged sword as well. Think of Michael Jackson, or many of the singers and artists like Chris Brown, who have just been negatively affected by fame, where they can't have any sort of real privacy. Any big moves they make or mistakes they make are criticized by the media, and the whole effect of having millions of people disliking you, even if it's a small percentage of your fan base that dislike you, because your fan base is so big, it still affects you negatively, because you can't ignore millions of people, even if hundreds of millions still like you, unless of course you have a very thick skin. So that's just one of many reasons I think short-term fame, even of high caliber, is a double-edged sword. And for me personally, though, I think there's obviously a lot of other reasons that it's bad, and a lot of other reasons it may be good. Having fame definitely gives you social status, and that definitely helps with females. Like, that's just incontrovertible. Um, like it or not, females are just biologically and evolutionarily drawn to men who have a lot of social status, success, money, and a lot of girls and recognition around them all the time. It's something they can't fight unless they really choose to, for whatever reason. And yeah, it can be beneficial in that sense. And like I said, fame also comes with success with a lot of things in life, but it is a double-edged sword. And in my opinion, personally, I do think that a lot of the things, if not everything, that you can achieve, all those pros, can be achieved without fame and without at least some, if not most, of the cons that come with it. So what I'm long story short, what I'm saying is, you do not need fame to achieve your goals, and if you do, you're probably thinking about it wrong, and you're not realizing that you truly don't need fame to do certain things, or your goals are different, or just you just have different goals. But my goals in terms of happiness and so forth and success does not require fame, and I would not attribute fame to something that's necessary to achieve happiness, or any sort of, I would say, a success and satisfaction. Although, especially when I was younger, I would often have these crazy imaginary daydreaming sessions where I'd be like, oh, if only I was famous, it'd just be so much cooler and easier, and everyone would like me. But again, at the same time, at the end of the day, would you really like to hang around those people who only finally talk to you after you became famous? Like, that's kind of like a cop-out sort of thing. Those people aren't your true friends in certain ways. But yeah, just to conclude and pose more concrete examples for all you guys out there. Think about it. Do you require fame in order to achieve money or get rich? No. Do you need to be rich to be happy? No, not at all. Do you need fame in order to go places? Not necessarily. It can help, but you can get there without it. Do you need fame to attract the girl or guy of your dreams? It can definitely help, but I definitely think there are other ways of getting to that point, and there's a lot of forms of very successful people who are not famous. There are plenty of people who are much richer than those who are very famous, like Chris Brown and Lil Wayne. They're a lot richer, but they're not famous at all. Why? Because they chose not to be in the limelight, or they're in some sort of industry that's not as exposed or required as entertainment. There's probably a group of musicians who write the songs that these artists perform, like Chris Brown and Rihanna, who are not in the limelight, such as well, I'm not going to give names, but there's plenty of people out there. I guess one I could think of is Daft Punk. They always wear masks, so they step out of the limelight, and they're still very successful. So it's that sort of thing, and I can go on and on. But the whole point is, seeking fame is sort of like seeking fame just for the fame or the ego is kind of stupid. It can definitely help you, but usually I definitely respect the people who, if they are seeking fame, they're doing it on top of also seeking a variety of other stuff, pursuing their passion, finding success in an industry of work that they enjoy and they're very much interested and they put their heart into. Those are things I respect more than those who just seek fame for the fact of seeking fame or for the ego boost or the benefits of fame. I just think that in itself is a little too airheaded and bloated. But again, that's just a subjective opinion. There's no real right or wrong answer. And hey, I can definitely kind of see the whole perspective of what's wrong with that. You know, different strokes for different people, and some people want results and they think the fastest way is fame, which I personally think is not easy to come by. Anyhow, that's all I want to say. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. I hope you like this sort of philosophical slash controversial discussion on the topic. I hope it made you think a little bit. That was my whole intention. And I'll see you guys later in my next video. Thanks for watching this uncut video. Peace.